this meeting to order. Sorry. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This meeting is recorded by video and audio. Whoops, just lost that.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings such as in-person meetings. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. And I would also add that all of these meetings are archived on the city's website in the IT department, I believe is where they're stored. So that being said, Yash, can we have a roll call for attendance?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Jonathan Pope.
Here.
Thank you. Ben Lemes.
Here.
Thank you. Richard Sapphire.
Yes, here.
Thank you. Greg Kadarmatori.
No, I don't, he's not here.
Katie Clancy.
Here.
Thank you. John Dunn.
Here.
Thank you. Gary Fresh.
Here.
Thank you. Matthew Fusco.
Here.
Thank you. Grant Harris.
Here.
Thank you. Joey Lucido. Not here. Jameson Manning. Not here. Amy Pascarello.
Here.
Thank you. Adam Russell. Not present. Caitlin Muniz. Caitlin Muniz.
Oh, here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have a quorum. We'll move on. The first order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes of March 10th, 2022. Are there any corrections or omissions? Seeing none, I will move that we approve the minutes of March 22nd, 2022. Somebody needs to say second.
Second.
There we go. Okay. Yes, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Pope.
Yes.
Thank you. Ben Lemes.
Yes.
Thank you. Richard Sapphire.
Yes.
Thank you. Katie Clancy. Katie.
Yes.
Thank you. John Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary Fresh.
Yes.
Thank you. Matthew Fusco.
Yes.
Thank you. Grant Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Pascarello.
Yes.
Thank you. Caitlin Muniz.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. The next order of business is the invoices. And we have three invoices that are in your packet. Brian, do you want to go through them or do you want me to?
I can run through them real quick. So the first invoice is for WT Rich. This is their invoice from the past month. It includes work for concrete, steel, site work, plumbing, subcontractor submittals, and the CM costs. And that invoice is in the amount of $3,221,140. The second invoice is for Doran Whittier. This covers their costs also from the previous month, $88,840. And that's for their contract administration work that they're doing with reviewing submittals, RFIs, site visits, and so forth. And the final invoice we have is for CBRE. in the amount of 60,000. And that's for the owner's project management services for the past month.
Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. If not,
Actually, Jonathan, I do have a question.
Okay.
So the invoices that come in from WT Rich are going to be, fairly expensive as we come forward. And I do want to try and figure out a way to kind of, move these things along. So I was wondering if we can figure out a way to get those invoices approved by the school building committee, have them come to me, and then we will try and send the funds out to Rich by wire.
So John, yeah, once the invoices are approved, everything is ready to go. So the city has the invoices after tonight, after the approval, and they can be processed. So if you want to issue wires instead of a check.
So John, do you
I'm
need
sure
our,
John
do you need
Rich
our
will be
wire
really happy about
information?
that.
Sorry, Brian, do you need our wire information, John, to make that happen?
Yes, I already have it. So I just kind of want to make sure it's happening. So I guess, if you can forward those approved invoices to me, then I can arrange the wire back to Jonathan's company, just to make sure that everybody is, paid as quickly as we can.
Yeah, so those invoices are in the package that you have already. That was
Right,
sent out
so-
earlier.
Right, so who has to sign off? I think Jonathan Pope has to sign off on this stuff before I can pay it. So is that correct?
I haven't been.
Yeah,
I-
it's either Jonathan Pope, Gary Frisch, who's been handling it, or you can sign it. I mean, anyone can sign it that is part of the school building committee that can attest to the vote.
So I guess I would say that I should sign it in order to turn these things around a bit more quicker. Or quickly, excuse me.
Okay. I think that's fine. You have such a nice signature.
Does John Rich agree with this?
Yeah, Eddie, I mean, we were happy to get the money quicker. It's really the people who benefit the most are our subcontractors, right?
Right.
Because
Exactly.
we have to, once we receive, we have to pay them within 5 days, which we're very happy to do. And when they're getting paid quickly, they're happier. And when they're
Well,
happier,
and-
that's good for us.
And that is good for everybody. Yes.
Yep.
So-
Exactly. I was just thinking that, so the final owner signature, is you're saying anyone on the building committee can sign that, Brian? And then, so you'll have it in your, John, so you want one that's fully executed, but we're saying now that you're gonna sign it. That's fine by me, That's,
Well, it has to be
I just look for the
approved by
money to show up.
Well, it has to be approved by the committee.
Right.
But I just want to make sure that we're moving this stuff along as quickly as we can, because it's,
So after this vote we just took, then someone's authorized to sign it, right? Sorry, John, you're breaking up.
These are things that have to be paid, and
But what Brian is saying is that any member of the committee that it was in attendance can attest that it was voted. And that's the critical thing, not who signs it. It's that it was voted. So by you signing it, John, you are saying, yeah, I saw it voted. It happened.
and that's, I just want to, have everybody kind of agreeing to this, and saying that, yes, we're gonna be sending out, $3 million a month. So,
Yep.
Do you
okay,
want to take?
good.
Okay. I mean, we can vote on that as a committee, but it doesn't really change the process at all. It's just
No,
who's
it doesn't.
signing.
it doesn't. It just has to make sure that it comes across my desk so I can make sure that it's, that it's out there and that it can get paid by wire.
Good.
So
Oh.
now we do need to vote though. on
Yeah,
these invoices.
now we need to vote it, so you can attest to that. So if there's no more questions, I'll make a motion that we approve the 3 invoices to WT Rich, Doran Whittier, and CBRE Harry for the total amount of $3,369,980, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, it's been voted in second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, yes, can we have a roll call vote?
Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes,
thank you. Gary Fresh,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Caitlin Nunes,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, they passed unanimously, and we'll be moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is our updates. And we'll start with the monthly update. Brian, you leading that?
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, this meeting should be pretty straightforward tonight. There's not a lot of major things to cover, but our format will be slightly different. So last month, we went over a number of the reports that we issue on an ongoing basis. And as I mentioned, we were in the process of updating some of the reporting structures. So we have a new monthly owner's report that was included in the package that went out prior to the meeting. And that's going to be the basis of conveying the information to you month by month. We'll also refer to some of the items, some of the highlights of the report in the school building committee. And so tonight, since you're seeing this for the first time, I'll go over a little more detail of this report so that you understand where all the information is. Okay, so basically in this report, we have a project overview, financial update, and schedule update. So that covers kind of the high level update on the project, and then some additional information relative to the OPM's work, the designer's work, and the construction manager's work. At the end of the report, there are some lengthy attachments with the OPM project milestone schedule and the construction manager's schedule. So for those of you that want to dig into more of the details of the project, that information is there at your disposal. So overall, last month, the project continues to track on schedule. I mentioned before that we did have a projected slip previously, but the construction really has not lagged at all. So we continue to remain on target. The project also continues to remain within the project budget. So those are good news, on time and on budget. In terms of the progress of the work, we've been doing steel work, which many of you have seen out on site, also some underground utility work. And we've had our first successful slab pour in building A. That went off without a hitch. Right now, we continue to deal with a very high volume of submittals that are being processed, that are issued from WT Rich to Doran Whittier, who reviews them and tries to return them in time so that we can get all the materials ordered and on site in order to keep the work moving on. You also see here, we have a little note of any relevant issues. So this is something that you're already familiar with, these lead time issues relative to the COVID shutdown. So moving on through the report, the next page covers some of the activities. So this is pretty standard now for the construction phase, but at other phases of the job, these will change. So the OPM team, continues to handle the workflow and responsibilities of the project, deals with owners' meetings and presentations, reviewing contracts, doing negotiations, managing the overall costs on the project, including change orders and payment approvals and the like. The architect right now is very busy reviewing submittals and shop drawings. Also putting out some proposal requests for the remaining value engineering items, doing weekly site visits, and making sure that the work is being constructed in accordance with the design documents. And the construction manager is handling the bulk of the work right now, managing the various subcontractors on site that are continuing to increase as the work builds momentum, handling quality control on the job, dealing with safety on the site, and managing the schedule. So it's all three members that really make for a successful outcome on the project. And that's what we have so far. So moving on to the next section, we get into the project financials. So here you see a number of different graphs. In the upper left-hand corner, you see a graph that indicates where we stand on the overall budget. So the dark green ring is the amount of budget allocated. The yellow figures are the contingency that we have available. And the light green shows the amount that's been billed relative to the contracts. So we're about 20% into it. On the right, we can see where we stand with MBE, WBE. Those are the minority business and women's business enterprises. So as you can see, our actuals are higher than our goals across the board. So below that, you have the billings for each of the various groups, designer, OPM, and construction manager. Then we have this next section in the financial update. So we've awarded over $60 million in contracts so far. The remaining pending subcontractor awards are about $2 million. We're almost complete with those. We've received some letters of recommendation on some of these items, but they're still being finalized. So we hope to have those completed within the next few weeks. We're also still working through a number of change orders. We had a meeting today to go over some more. So that's kind of an ongoing process to review these, but we have no official change orders to date. Here we can see something that John might be interested in seeing, you know, the cash flow of the project, where we are to date and what's predicted for each of the invoices from the designer, CM, and then also the cumulative total. And then this also breaks it down by month. So we're getting to the peak right now, and that's going to be there for quite a few months, and then eventually it'll start to drop off. Same thing here goes for the OPM, designer, and so forth. So here we have a simplified schedule. The upper schedule shows where we are on the overall job. So of all these 7 phases, where we stand, and you can see right now we're in the construction phase. So this will keep moving along to the right as we proceed with the work. But right now we've completed site work and foundations. Steel is nearing complete and framing is up next, but WT Rich will go into more detail with that a little later. On the left-hand side, you can see we have a section for any significant dates. So we had the topping off ceremony on Monday. That was a big success, and I'll share some more details with that a little bit later. And last night we had a school committee presentation that went off smoothly. So those were both successful events. We do have an upcoming concrete pour, and that's scheduled for the 20th of April, weather permitting. And then our next school building committee meeting will be May 12th. So, you know, we continue to have concerns with the long lead time items, as I've mentioned already, with the schedule, but so far we continue to track right where we should be. And there's just a note here that the full schedules are in the attachments, as I mentioned earlier. So this next page gives you an update of what the OPM has been doing, both for the past month and then what's coming up in the next month. So these are pretty standard things that, you know, we're involved with on a regular basis: subcontractor procurement, contract changes, payment approvals, analyzing schedules, conducting regular reviews and meetings, and also, of course, monitoring the work on a daily basis on site and communicating with the neighbors. So here's some images from the topping off ceremony. The kids got to sign the beam. The staff of the school had signed it earlier. And everyone really had a great time at the event. And we even had some musical performance here by this wonderful rock band made up of students and staff. And I have a little video to share with you on that. So I'm going to push, well. Don't tell me it's not going.
You have to be in slideshow mode.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No.
Oh, sorry. I'm not doing this too well, sorry.
I wasn't
try
getting
one
any
more time.
sound. I don't know about anyone else.
No, no sound yet.
Oh, no sound? Oh, I could hear it here. I'm not sure.
In your settings, I think you have to have the speakers turned on so that we can hear your sound. Your microphone off or something like that.
Can you guys hear that?
Nope.
I
Well,
will
that's
weigh in by
disappointing.
saying it was awesome. And the bass player was really jamming.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I can hear it here, but somehow. Well,
That young singer, Matt, was great too.
okay.
Is
He
he a
was
fifth
awesome.
grader?
He's
Yeah.
a fifth grader. Yep.
To want to
And,
get up and do that in front of the group, I was very impressed.
He wasn't nervous at all either.
He seems to love it. You can tell. So it's pretty
He
cool.
eats it up. And the drummer too was also a fifth grader from East Gloucester. So he did a great job. And Jonathan, I want to commend your workers because they were very supportive and they were into it. So they were really nice to the kids and stuff. So I just wanted to let you
Yeah.
know that.
That's great. Thank you for that, Matt.
Yep.
So I'm sorry you couldn't hear that. I'm not sure what happened, but at least you got the visual. And for those of you who were there, you can appreciate the good music that we enjoyed. So community updates. Yeah, I mentioned we do have that concrete pour, so we're going to send out the notices again. Same thing we did last time. We send out flyers to all the local residents. Also, emails are sent out to those people that have signed up on the list. And the notifications are also posted on the school project website. So continuing on with that monthly report, the next section covers the work that the designer's doing. There's not a ton to report right now, but we've included some of the images of this beautiful school that is being constructed. But as I mentioned, the designer is primarily working now with a great deal of submittals and RFIs that need to be processed. Here you can see some of the statistics of how many have been issued so far. So those numbers will continue to ramp up over the next few weeks. I've also included in that package some samples just to give you an idea of how these things work. So this is a submittal that's put forth. So the subcontractor is submitting materials on the job that have been specified for the most part, but making sure that what they understand to be used is also what the architect is in agreement with. So the architect reviews those submittals, and if everything's good, that gets sent back through to WT Rich, and then they can order the necessary materials. And on the right, there's just a sample of one of the architect's field reports. So they're out on site every week looking over the work that's being completed to make sure that there aren't any errors, or if there were any errors in the job, that they get corrected in time. Okay, moving on down to the construction update. So again, these are all here in your monthly report. This talks about the work that's been going on site with the construction manager. Structural steel being just about 100% complete in building A and about 75% complete in building B. As I mentioned, the slab was poured, and we've also been doing some testing and surveying on the job kind of on an ongoing basis. Retaining walls are also just about done on both sides. You can see we've had almost 20,000 worker hours to date. So it's really ramping up. Last month, there was over 4,000 worker hours, which is an increase over 1,300 hours from the previous month. So I also have some milestones here for reference in the monthly report. So you can see what the projected completion dates are and what the actual completion dates are. And then I'm going to turn this over to WT Rich to talk about what's been happening out in the field. But we do have also some reference items in here. You know, if you're talking with someone about the site, we often refer to building A and building B. Naturally, we have one building, but we've divided it up into two parts. So this little diagram here will make it helpful to understand, you know, what's happening on the site. And then the monthly report will also include these progress photos of what's been happening the previous month. But here's the current schedule, and maybe Alex, you can pick up from here and tell us about some of the details of what's been happening on the site.
Sure. Thanks, Brian. Hi, everybody. So we wanted to put together sort of this big picture schedule for you guys. We realized that the look ahead schedules that we typically provided before didn't really translate too well on these meetings. So we wanted to kind of give you a big picture of where we're at as of today. So you can see a number of different activities that we have outlined that we're calling sort of critical path of the project. So you can see the site utilities, drainage, grading is kind of ongoing throughout the project. We've obviously completed concrete foundations. We're almost all the way through structural steel at this point. As Brian mentioned, we got our first concrete slab pour a few weeks ago, and we're scheduled to have our next one next week. So we're, you know, almost about a third of the way through our concrete slab pours at this point. Then we're going to get into the installation of the roofing and the exterior building facade, which are pretty critical pieces to this project to make sure that the building, you know, the interior of the building is weather tight to be able to proceed with a lot of the rough framing, the rough mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection installations. We typically don't start that work until the building is weather tight. So that's a pretty critical piece to this project, as I mentioned before. So after we get through the rough installation phase that I just mentioned, we're going to get into the interior finishes, which is drywall, millwork, casework, flooring, ceilings, all the stuff that really needs sort of a controlled environment happens once we have the building enclosed and hopefully some sort of heat or cooling, you know, set in place before we start those activities. And then as we get to wrapping up the project, we're obviously going to be getting into our site and landscape finishes, you know, soon after the next year, you know, starting probably in March and April and really taking off up until substantial completion in June.
Right. And then I also have our little drone video.
I'm glad the sound doesn't play on this one. It's a little intense.
This here again.
Inspiring maybe is a better word. So we're, as we may have mentioned before, we're going to try to do this once a month to kind of give you guys an update, progress update of where we stand. It should kind of give a real nice insight into how this building's being built. So as I mentioned, steel for A buildings complete, steel for B buildings pretty much there at this point. And again, the A building, what we're talking about is the academic wing, the 3 floors of classrooms, and B building being that more assembly area to the right, to the eastern part of the site. So you can see the concrete blankets on the 2nd floor, which were critical and important to be able to pour that slab. Typically colder weather, we like to use these blankets to encapsulate heat and make sure that the concrete's curing properly. So we're moving towards the western facade at this point. Again, steel decking. You may think that that's roofing, but it's really just the glare of the steel decking on the roof. So we're in really good shape. This drone was taken, this video was taken about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. So that roof deck's complete now. We're actually preparing reinforcement on that slab on the roof to be able to get that poured and ready for roofing and ultimately the RTUs to sit on that, which are the rooftop units that supply cooling and heating to the building. So you can see sort of the site setup that we have now kind of mimics the final design, which is intentional for us. It kind of helps us organize the site as well as kind of sets the standards for, how we're going to be circulating throughout the site. So you can see that stockpiled area at the bottom right of the screen. That's sort of where the turf field is, just to give you a little bit more context. We're using that area as lay down and storage on site because that turf field and the playgrounds are going to be one of the last pieces that we do on this project. It's obviously pretty wet the day that this was taken. But again, we probably have 50 to 60% of the drainage installed at this point on the project. So we feel pretty comfortable that once the rest of the drainage is installed, this site should be draining pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having some technical, did the video just stop for you?
Yeah, it's paused right now.
Okay, I'm gonna try again. So when the video is playing, I can't hear anybody and somehow everything disappears from my screen, so.
Oh boy. So we're on the northern facade now at this point. As you guys probably know, a lot of the designers, and Michelle and Brad can probably attest to this, like the north to south, north and south orientations of the building to maximize sunlight. So that's the way that this building is set on site. So you can see the steel progressing pretty well. This video again was shot before the topping off ceremony, so the topping off beam's not shown, but it's essentially kind of right where that crane is now. So again, we're in really good shape with steel, hoping to be done by sort of the end of April, maybe with some detailing into the first week of May. But that's going to kind of open up a whole new layer of this project once that steel is complete and getting into B building with concrete decking and eventually enclosure of that space, of those spaces. You can see the gigantic trusses at the bottom as well, the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the video. So those are kind of allowing the gym to span and be as large as it can be, just due to I'm sure you guys have seen them in other gymnasiums, those large trusses being able to span a large section of that gym and the roof above it. So that trailer that you see at the bottom is essentially where the entrance to the new school is going to be. That's right outside the principal's office. Anyone have any questions?
Can you share that link with us so we can show staff and families, please?
Definitely. Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'll have to work on my video skills. But that's all I had for tonight. Jonathan, you're muted.
So is there anything anybody would like to bring up before we adjourn? The websites are all up and running, and information is out there. And John Dunn is waving frantically in the
Well,
corner.
not frantically,
Oh.
but just I never, hopefully never wave frantically, but so everybody knows there is a appeals court issue coming up in the first 2 weeks in May. So we will be bringing forward the second issue in the lawsuit. Don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but we also expect that it will take about 4 months for anything to come out of the appeals court. So we're still moving forward kind of on that, and it is what it is. A little bit of frustrating, but that's how the courts move, particularly with pandemic issues. One other thing is that, as many people know, Donna Compton, the former purchasing agent for the city of Gloucester has retired. And her assistant, Stacy Capone, is going to move into that new position. So that will be happening, and I will get the mayor to appoint her as a participant in this school building committee.
Good. Okay. Anything else? I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Seconded.
There we go. Okay. Yes, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Quick meeting. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemis,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Kitty Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Gary Fresh,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Caitlin Nunes,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. That being said, this meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a
What?
nice weekend.
One
and,
more thing, could I
oh,
ask
oh.
Mark Lyden to give me a call at 978-509-4148? I have a quick question for him.
Can you repeat that number, please, John?
978-509-4148.
Okay, I'll call you momentarily.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Any other personal messages going on here before we,
Yeah.
before we adjourn?
John Rich, kudos to the drone pilot.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I think we're all quite happy
you.
with the progress we're making, and I'd like to just thank everybody. The presentation at the school committee the other night was quite thorough and I think very informative to a number of the people there. So I think all's good. Onward and
You,
upward.
Matt, are you gonna get the band back together for the opening ceremonies?
You bet.
I would hope.
Gotta be the house band.
You're gonna be able to play on the new stage.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to play on the roof. Is what I want.
You have to be tied
Like
off.
a real rock star, huh?
Abbey Road, yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
okay.
I'll get my fur coat now, so.
Well, you look good with the shades and the hat.
Thanks.
Okay. Have a good weekend,
All right.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone.